Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Wednesday, April 30th, and we are up to Ezekiel 45, verse 7, and the subtitle for this section is The Portion for the Prince. I want to remind you that the last couple days we've been talking about the area of land that will be given to the priests. Again, this is when the millennial temple is built. This is when Christ is reigning for 1,000 years. So that brings us to verse 7. And to the prince shall belong the land on both sides of the holy district, and the property of the city alongside the holy district, and the property of the city on the west and on the east, corresponding in length to one of the tribal portions, and extending from the western to the eastern boundary of the land. It is to be his property in Israel. And my princes shall no more oppress my people, but they shall let the house of Israel have the land according to their tribes. So there's a couple things to pull out of here. In the Apologetics Study Bible, there was a note for verses 9 through 12 as we move forward. But what we really want to pull out of this portion, this verse 7 and 8, is that they're no longer going to oppress the people, and they shall let the house of Israel have the land according to their tribes. So no longer are we going to have these greedy princes. They're going to be generous with the people. They're going to give the people what is allotted to them. So this Apologetic Study Bible note for verses 9 through 12 says, this demand for honest balances and measures seems to be out of place amidst the priestly regulations. But it was a rebuke to the priest for use of dishonest scales for offerings brought to the temple. Old Testament writers frequently mention the abuse of standards in the marketplace. You can see that in Leviticus 19:35, Deuteronomy 25:13-16, Proverbs 11:1, Amos 8:5, Micah chapter 6, verses 10 through 12. Just dealings precede acceptable worship. This point was also made by Jesus in Matthew 5:21-26. In the ESV Fire Study Bible, there's a note about putting away violence for verses 9 to 12. Ezekiel challenges the leaders to put an end to their oppression, and he pleads with them to do what is right and fair. So verse 9 says, thus says the Lord, enough, O princes of Israel, put away violence and oppression, and execute justice and righteousness. Cease your evictions of my people, declares the Lord. So God is saying, put what is right first. Verse 10, you shall have just balances, a just ephah, and a just bath. Ephah and bath are measurements. In the Cultural Study Bible, there was a note about these just balances. It said, in an economy that did not have standardized weights and measurements, traders were often tempted to cheat by falsifying the balances and the measurements, often by using improper weights and false bottoms and other ways to alter the size of the vessels. The two-armed balance scales were used to weigh out goods in Esau. Now, an ephah was a dry standard used for measuring grain. It equaled about 3/5 of a bushel or 22 liters. A bath was a liquid standard for measuring oil, wine, and water. So it's kind of like the liters that we had. It was 6 gallons, which would be about 22 liters. But an ephah and a bath are 1/10 of a homer. Verse 11. The ephah and bath shall be of the same measure, and the bath containing 1/10 of a homer, and the ephah 1/10 of a homer. The homer shall be the standard measure. The shekel shall be 20 gerahs, 20 shekels plus 25 shekels plus 15 shekels shall be your mina. Okay, so what was their takeaway from this? How can we apply this to our lives? The point is that they're being told to be honest and just with their measurement of people's offerings, even when they wouldn't know the difference. For us, what's that mean? It means doing what would glorify God, even if no one is going to notice, even if no one is looking. It's doing what's right just because you know that that is right. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.